Hi, this is Christy from Life Struggles, and I have my co-host Melinda.
Hey there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I am decked out in my Christmas stuff and ready to talk
I
about an
know
awesome,
you got,
awesome movie.
you got Grinch on.
Yeah, he's my main Christmas dude.
Oh, her and her Grinch. And I'm Cindy Lou Who, but I don't have Cindy Lou Who on tonight. We can't even tell what I have on. I just have Christmas trees. I have a Christmas village.
I like it. When I saw it today, I thought it was super cute. Yeah, and not like super crazy flashy either. It's really just,
No,
it's
it's
very
not.
adorable.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're
Anyway,
welcome.
so tonight we're going to discuss Crown for Christmas. I'm
Yes.
so excited. So I'm going to tell a little bit of what I know. And we're kind of just going to share back and forth. And she's the one that is so good at this. So it'll probably be more her than me. But so first of all, it's called Crown for Christmas. And it was, I think, televised in 2015 first.
I think, yeah.
So the director, I got some notes here, was Alex Zamm. And let's see,
Danica.
Is it Danica?
Yes.
There is a name Danica, but I think that's with a K, Danika. So it is Danica, you said?
Danica, yeah.
McKellar.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen her in a lot of Hallmark Christmas movies this year, a lot.
Yes.
But her co-star is Rupert Penry-Jones. I believe he's from England. I think he's an English actor, and I really did not find a lot of information out about him.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh gosh, that's a cute outfit. Was it his cute outfit?
Oh, fun. Yeah. That looks familiar to me.
Does it? Okay, so after getting fired from her job as a maid at a Ritz, New York City hotel, a ritzy one. So I never did figure out if it was a Ritz-Carlton or if it was just a ritzy.
Yeah, I think it's just a ritzy. I don't know if they would use a name
Back
like that in there.
215, they would. They could. Yeah. It looked like a Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah, it looked very nice.
No, but I mean, it looked like one of the Ritz-Carlton hotels.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, I've never been to one or looked at one, so I'm not sure.
Anyway, she was, she was a maid there. And I'm just going to go ahead and start from what I remember as the beginning. And oh my gosh, do I remember, was their last name Reed or Lead?
No, let me see. Team, what do they call it? Team Evans. Evans. Team Evans, yes.
Okay, so one of the things that I like about this movie is that they don't really go into any kind of darkness whatsoever. So although, okay, so Allie is the oldest sister, and she was majoring in art at an art school, university. And their parents were killed, and her two siblings were younger than she was and not of age. So she quit school and she went home to take care of them and help finish raising them and get them through college. But they never said ever what happened to the parents or anything dark. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I want to say, I don't know why when I first started writing, I thought it was car accident, but you're right. I don't think it says exactly what it was.
No, I watched it 10 times now.
Did you? Okay. Because
I wanted to know if they ever did say what they died from.
Yeah, they did.
And it doesn't.
They kept it light.
They did keep it very light because it wasn't really focused on that. But also the other thing is that, like, she wasn't bitter that she had to raise her siblings, even even though they were a handful, which of course
Right.
we would never get to see either, because by the time she comes into the picture with, being the maid and all that stuff, the one was in college and the other one was in acting school. So they were pretty much over 18.
Yeah.
Still living together as a family. And even though Allie could have went back to school or whatever, she had to help pay the bills because I don't even remember her brother's name or if it even mattered because he wasn't in it that much. It really wasn't about him.
Yeah, just like a couple lines or a couple scenes.
Right. Because the movie wasn't really about him, but I know that he was in college still. So, but he was still very supportive of her, and he worked also to help support them. So all three of them worked and was paying the bills. And none of them complained about it.
Right.
So I felt like throughout the whole movie, even though there was some struggles, that everybody took them and just dealt with them.
Yeah.
And
they didn't let it stop them.
No, never.
Just kept going.
Positive attitudes, and especially Allie, and maybe that's why the other two ended up being like that because of her. But so I really like that. Not all the Christmas movies that we're going to watch are going to be like that. So I mean, they're probably all going to end up happy in some way, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to have, show sadness in between.
Yeah. Exactly.
And just this one, I didn't see any sadness. It was just a feel good all the way.
Yes.
Okay. So me being said that, go ahead and tell me your part of the movie and I'll jump in when I remember parts. And
yeah. So you talk about how Allie's character, along with her sister, was fired from their job as a maid at that ritzy hotel. Well, this is where you meet the other starring lead role in this movie, which is King Maximilian.
Right.
And it's actually his room that they are cleaning. And Allie allows her sister to go to a casting call that she got a call back for. So she's like,
I was going to say, I believe it was a callback.
Yes. Yeah. So she's
important.
like, I got this. Exactly. Because she knew it'd be good for her sister. She's like, just go ahead. Well, the head honcho comes up and makes a comment about a VIP who's been waiting longer than they should have. And because of the condition that this room was left in, one person was just taking too long. So she got fired for it.
And the VIP person actually happened to be a hotel reviewer.
Yes.
And had been waiting like 3 or 4 hours over the time that she was scheduled to get in.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So that's how she ended up without a job.
Before that, she bumped into him in the hallway.
Yes, she does.
Well, she's rushing down the hallway with her cart to get to those last 3 rooms, I believe it was, to get done for the day. And she went around the corner and bumped into him. And you know what? Right then, like as they're both, she does all her embarrassed conversation.
Handing him soap and chocolate to make up the fact that she rammed him with the cart.
That was so funny. She didn't know, and she didn't even know that he was anybody.
Yeah.
So she must have been that kind of person, period.
Yeah.
But what was cool was when they were both walking away, they both turned around to look at each other. So there must have been some kind of attraction right from the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So continue on. So at this point, she doesn't know who he is or that the room she's about to clean is or was his.
Yes. So as she's, right after she's been fired from her job, she hands up, Maximilian had left his father's watch upstairs on the nightstand or on the side table. So she grabbed that and gave it to the boss saying, hey, this person left this here. And that it was taken notice by what was the guy's name who
Butler?
I can't remember his name, but the guy who accompanied King Maximilian on his trip.
That was
he
always
took
the
notice.
butler.
Yeah,
Well,
took
okay,
notice that she had given that back.
so to begin with, when Max was checking out downstairs and the butler was with him, that's when he had said, oh, you better check and see what time it is because we don't want to miss a flight. And when he went to check his watch, he noticed it was gone. So then the butler said, I will go up and find it,
Yes.
So Max remembered where he had left it
Mhm.
and told the butler. Okay, go ahead.
So that was good timing on that part because then, he was able to see that, the butler saw that, heard that she was fired and she was still honest and gave back the watch. So you cut to the next scene where she's home and, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And there's a knock on the door.
Well, now, wait a minute. What did he tell the butler though? When he was actually leaving his room to go down to check out because he had left the room a mess. He knew he was leaving it a mess.
Oh yes, to make sure that they're well compensated for the best,
right?
Because he had friends. Yes, so you can tell right off the bat that even though he's royalty, he seems to, take a little bit concern in areas like that. Make sure that they're taken care of and they're well compensated for the mess because, it's just not cool.
And honestly, if I didn't know that he was a king, I would have never thought of him as royalty. Like he wasn't, he didn't act snobbish. He acted like normal people.
Yeah, well, when he's in New York, so when he makes a comment later on in the movie that he likes going to New York because no one knows who he is and they treat him like a normal person.
Yep.
And so that's probably the vibe that we're catching early on. But yeah, you wouldn't even realize he's royalty if you didn't, hear King Maximilian.
I'm not so sure that he ever liked the royalty, being somebody royal.
Yeah. And you see that throughout the movie.
I see that throughout the whole movie. So, okay. So you were at the point where the butler shows up.
Yes.
Well, first he shows up at the hotel though, while she's leaving. So he watches her get fired.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So then he must do, I think he does some background check on her.
Yes. To be able to locate her, but he's got an ulterior motive here.
Yes. So go ahead with that.
Yeah. So he tracks her down after doing, some background checks because they wanted to reward her for her honesty, and the fact that she's lost her job because she couldn't clean up that mess, in a quick enough time. So he shows up at the door and offers her a check. And this gives you an idea of her, an even deeper idea of how good of a person she is because she turns it down, even though he made the comment, I know bills are behind, and she's trying, he knows what's in her account. And, it kind of takes her by surprise. She's like, how do you know all this? She's like, you had me checked out. They kind of had to because, he's on official royal business. But, she turns down that check, but then they bond over a bowl of mulligan stew, which I guess is a favorite of his from when he was a kid.
So mulligan to me sounds Irish.
Maybe.
I don't think they ever talked about that.
Right.
The butler's name is Fergus.
That's right. That's his name. I couldn't remember. Yeah. But it's nice because he sits down and he has dinner with her and her brother and sister. And they just all kind of get to know each other on a quick little dinner date.
And I think that's where he sees, I believe, I don't think when he went there that he was going to actually offer her a job yet.
Yes.
I mean, I think he did do the background check to see that she was a good person and all that kind of stuff and honest and whatever, and get her address. But to see her interact with her siblings and how they said they were like such a handful and she agreed, but yet they were all laughing about it and she wasn't complaining ever about it. And I think that's probably when he made that decision that she would make a perfect governess.
Yes.
I mean, they don't say that, but.
Well, yeah, because he says that, he wants to offer her a job and it would be, overseas. She'd have to, fly over but it just
Never said that it would be for,
Yeah,
The
she
royal
has no
family.
clue that if she takes this job that it's going to be for royal family. He leaves that part out. So he gives her, 24 hours to decide, and before you know it, there's a car picking her up to take her.
And then thinking back now, I really, really should I take this off? It's making a lot of noise.
It doesn't matter to me if it's bothering you. Go ahead. You go.
Hey, this is perfect.
There you go. Just let it fly.
Okay. That I think that her having to think about it had really an unselfish reason, and that was, what about her siblings? And not really their opinion, but how are they going to survive? How was she going to take care of them? She was used to always being there. They were used to always having her. And I think even though they didn't show that, I think they showed a very small part of just the two of them, the other siblings,
Yes.
in the morning saying, you should go, this is a really good
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah, they're like, absolutely. And if I remember correctly, she does accept that check as an advance on payment for her job.
That's what he says to her, that
Yeah.
to consider this in advance.
Yeah. So I can't help but wonder if maybe that did influence a little bit, knowing
I
that
think
there's
so.
this money here that then her siblings are like, go ahead and go. So yeah, so she takes this job.
I think so.
And
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that had somewhat to do with it.
Mhm.
And like, who wouldn't want to go to that city?
Oh, I know.
And
It's
of course she doesn't know. So go on to when
what
she
she's
pulls
in
up
for.
at the palace.
I have two words for you, and it's Princess Theodora, who is played by let me make sure I get it right. Ellie, is it Botterill or Botterill?
Botterill.
Botterill,
I think it's
and
Botterill, but
it might be, yeah,
Botterill.
and
Botterill.
it, and she is one very ornery, rebellious princess who, as we find out, has been through multiple governesses in so many months.
I think she gets hit by a snowball right away when she's being introduced to the king.
Yes, so she's up in that upper window looking out as the king's pulling up, and then she recognizes him, like, oh my gosh, this is the guy I bumped in the hallway. And that the little princess Rosette. Oh, go ahead. Because I think she was already in the house, because she was looking out that window.
Okay, well, she was already up in her window, but she's not recognizing him yet. She just heard the noises that he was arriving, and opened the window to see what was going on.
And then she gets nailed by a snowball.
She actually didn't recognize him until he walked into the palace, both of them.
So when she gets hit by that snowball, you can tell everyone's very reserved there, very proper. So she's yelling, yeah, you better run, or whatever it was. And they all look up at her like, but she's a New Yorker. And they're like, that's all they can say. She's from New York, and it's just a different world where they're at.
So I think it's at that point when he looks up, when she yells that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That she recognizes him, but he didn't recognize her yet.
Yeah, I don't think so. So that she was just like, you can just tell by the look on her face. She's like, oh my gosh.
Oh crap.
That's the guy I hit with my cart.
Yes. And he's a king.
Yes. And then she finds out it's for royalty. And of course that tidbit was left out, as well as, just how many governesses this young girl has been through. And, she does everything she can, this little one, to get rid of Allie, but I think she finds out she meets her match.
Besides the fact that she threw the snowball to begin with, I think she also had a snake in her drawer.
Yes. And then took the schedule. So, they put schedules outside the door every morning, and she had no clue. Little one took it.
Right.
So she's late for everything, but somehow still manages to do the job. And you can see after about the second to third interaction, you can start to see that you can tell this is going to be different. because the little girl kind of, I think, feels like, yeah, she can handle me.
Yeah.
And it kind of softens up a bit.
I think the biggest part of her accepting her was probably when she stuck the worm in her face.
Yes.
And then also and she was like not upset about that whatsoever.
Right.
And she said all the other governess were scared of them.
Yeah.
And then she just so Allie just started talking to her about, so you like playing in the garden house and blah blah blah. And she said this was my mom's.
Yes.
And then she asked her a little bit about her mom, and I think that's probably when she softened the most.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, that's my favorite scene of this whole movie is when they're just digging around in the dirt and she's like, what about this one? And she hangs in her face. She's like, oh yeah, that's a good one. They bond over the fact that, you know, Allie's just treating her like a kid. She's not treating her like this proper princess that has to be squeaky clean, not playing in the dirt, not playing with worms. They're bonding.
It's just Allie's personality. She wasn't trying to impress. I don't think she ever tried to impress anybody.
No, she was just like, this is me.
Yeah, I mean, like she would always, I don't know. I thought she was the cutest thing just when she made her little airs, because, you know, she was around a royal family and she had never been, you know, especially like her first time that she was going to have to curtsy when she left.
Oh, she like kind of fall backwards.
For meeting the king.
And that's after like she got in trouble by, I don't even want to call him his handler, but whoever that other guy was that was giving her a hard time. He was so mean, but you know, to show Princess Theodora that she wasn't going to be intimidated by her. She's like, you know, kick this ornament in. So she gives that ornament and kick it, nails what you could assume you hear. I think it hits the king in the head or something.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was in the head or somewhere else.
Yeah, right. So she hits them with this, and they bring her in, and you know she's getting the talking to from the chancellor and the king. This is how you can kind of tell that he's not as serious and as straightforward as everybody else when he kind of gives this little smile, and they have this conversation about what she's here for. He was firm, but he wasn't incredibly stern. He wasn't mean. He wasn't degrading. He just knows that this is not her normal environment, and you know she gets a little smile from him after the fact. Yeah, and then you know tries to take out the chair as she curtsies.
What did you think of him? Like, I didn't like him from the beginning.
The chancellor or the king?
Chancellor.
Yeah, you can tell that there is just, I wasn't a fan. Like, I understand having your royal duties as king and how they, you know, how one should behave. I think he made the comment that that's not how a governess behaves or something along those lines. And I'm thinking this whole time they've been through so many.
Okay, I get that. But throughout the whole thing, he was still, he wasn't even nice to the king.
No, it's almost like he wanted the power himself. He was just very,
and
like
you remember what his
taking
job
it down.
actually was?
I can't remember. I know that he worked with his dad, the king's dad, before he passed. But
you know what?
I can't remember.
I put it in my notes, I think.
Because you know, I know he's trying to push for an arranged marriage and for all this to go down like it's supposed to, how it has been for hundreds of years and whatnot. But he was just, I don't remember his exact job, but he is just,
well,
he's not nice.
know he's called the advisor for the
advisor.
throne.
Okay.
Advisor for the throne.
Yeah. So his job is to advise, not, you know, but he really was forceful in his role.
Yeah. And to me, like, I don't know. I think Max was old enough to not have to have somebody reminding him constantly of what his duty was and how he was supposed to act and all that. But anyway, so I didn't like him.
Yeah, no, that actor did a very good job. Yes, it's a very good job because I didn't like him either. And I guess, you know, if you can make that happen. Yeah. So, hey, I think he did good.
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead.
So
Where
where
you
were we
at?
at? Yeah, so we get to the point to where Princess Theodora is experiencing something a whole new with this new governess. They're baking cookies together, they're making homemade Christmas decorations, just like her and her mom used to do. And
And
she's
Allie,
making it fun.
the whole time, is disobeying all the rules.
Yes. So, she was late for this picture, and you still see the jeans underneath the royal cute dress that she's wearing. She's like, tuck them up, tuck them up. But it's even though she's going against, the rules, or inadvertently or on purpose, whatever it is,
I think she was just
there
being
had,
herself. She was just trying to
yeah,
take care of Theodora
yeah,
and have fun.
yeah. And well, in the process, the whole castle gets in on the fun, from a snowball fight to making cookies to singing Christmas carols, just stuff that they're not used to hearing or doing or seeing. And she quickly becomes almost like one of them. She sits and has dinner with them when usually governesses have dinner in their room, and they just kind of take her
And
out of their wing.
except for
What's her name? I don't think I wrote it down. There is one who is like, I don't even know what was her job title.
well,
Like, they introduced her and she
she
showed her
was
around the castle.
she was over all of the household
Yes. So like,
employees.
like the main house. Yeah, she was
Was
not a fan.
wasn't just the maid, she was over the maids, over the kitchen.
The cooks. Yeah. So I don't even know what you would call her position, but she was not happy with
See
these
what her
changes. Yeah. See what like I said, I don't know what they called her, but and I can't remember her name, but she was used to things
I
being
remember
one
her
way.
name. Her name was Amy Martson, and
But you can tell she had been doing the job for a long time, because rules were rules, and the way things are the way things are, and this whole new shakeup is not what she is.
I'm sorry, do you know when I named who the producer was he actually from there's a lot of actors in this movie from England.
There are, and I'm not sure, honestly. Let me check my notes to see if I have anything. I don't. But I would think you could probably find that maybe on like International Movie Database. I know that they have a lot of info. Like, you can click on the certain actors or producers or directors and whatnot.
Okay, well, I guess that really doesn't matter. I was just curious. So her name was Alexandra Evans. Never mind, that was the princess that wanted to be the
Okay.
queen. And
Celia.
then Emma Sutton, she was the nice lady that was actually over the cooks.
The cooks. Yeah, she was so sweet. I
But
liked her character.
did you get this out of this? But was she in love with the butler?
Yeah, I think because she
Do you
talks
think
about a
that's
young
the last
boy.
person that she made a mistake of not getting married to?
Yep, with
Okay.
that dress that she ended up wearing. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I
So
caught on to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so she's in good with most of the staff, and she's definitely got Princess Theodora, she's got that bond with her now, and it's a very quick bond. Like, I was kind of surprised coming in. You hear that this little princess has had all these governesses, and then within less than 2 days, and they're very close. She's enjoying her time with her, and then you see her interactions, Allie's interactions with the king. They go horseback riding, and you see that spark that you initially thought you saw when she ran into him with the cart. They both turn around, look at each other, but it's only confirmed even more when they do the horseback riding because the head chef lady made that comment that he's never taken anybody horseback riding before. And you can tell that there are feelings there that are starting to grow.
I think right from the very beginning, he liked her because she was so real.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just like his wife who had passed. She wasn't royal. She was an American.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can just see everything that she did, like, even though he knew that, what's his face?
The advisor. Yeah.
Yes. That he would disagree with everything. And he was just all about being royal and stuff that, he'd kind of snicker. But everything that she did had have that smile about it. You could just tell he liked that she was going against the royal rules, and liked the way that she was interacting with his child and being a real person instead of, like the one he was supposed to marry.
Yes. Well, and that's how you made the comment that we saw that he was not, you could tell he wasn't a fan of being king or all the rules that came with being a king, but you talk
He would have rather not been born of the royal family.
Yeah, well, his dad, you can here and there in the movie, you can tell that his dad was, he was a king and he wasn't always there for him as a child as he needed him to be. And you can kind of see how that's affected him as king now. Like, he doesn't want to really play by the rules. We find out he's got an arranged marriage. He doesn't want to play any of that.
Right.
And but his dad died suddenly, and then all of a sudden, boom, his wife had passed and his dad died. So he went from being a widow with a child.
Wasn't it?
It was very, very close together. So this poor guy went from being a widower, single dad, losing a parent, to king. And there were just so many things that he did not want to have to do that would be considered rules by royalty or whatever. But yeah, it comes Celia when, and that was kind of like a heartbreaking moment for, at least for me as a viewer, because I saw the interaction between, Allie's and King Max, and then all of a sudden you find out he's got an arranged marriage. You can tell he does not want to do it, but there's that little part of him who's like, I'm king, I probably should do this. And she comes to visit the castle early, thanks in part to the advisor, who is clearly trying to just make this Allie go away.
Right. So she comes early. She is not welcomed by anybody except for the throne keeper.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell that Max didn't even want her there yet.
No, well, she didn't even remember meeting Max's daughter before.
Right.
She's like, remember we met at the Christmas or the birthday or Easter or something. She's like, oh yes. And she brings her this gift. It's ballet slippers and a tutu. That's not her.
Right.
That is not Theodora whatsoever.
And she let her know.
Yeah, exactly. And you could just tell that Cecilia was just there for the arrangement and to be queen, and all that kind of starts to come out throughout the next couple of scenes where they talk about sending Princess Theodora off to a boarding school because that's what Cecilia did and that's what King Max had done, and you can tell that he's torn about that too.
That was probably one of the only really saddest part.
Yeah, because it was all in front of her, that
conversation. That, but when she went to, she took off, and she of course went to where her and her mom's favorite place was, and she was crying. And Allie went and found her, mm-hmm. and talked to her, and really even tried to be on the princess's side. Well, the other princess.
Right.
What was her name?
Well, there was Cecilia.
Cecilia, yeah.
Yeah.
Even said that maybe you can grow to like her, right. And you can come visit me if your dad lets you. And This is all
Yeah.
about sending her away to boarding school. And
Yeah.
I believe that's when he, of course, he ran to find her too. So you can tell through the whole thing that he really does love his daughter. And then it comes out later when he decides, well, let's go to the dance.
Yeah. So governesses really are supposed to just be in the background, in the like seen off to the background, but not heard. And
How did she get there?
she got invited by the king
Right.
and his daughter. Yeah.
His daughter.
So
I don't think he would have though had his daughter not said something first, because he
exactly.
hesitated.
Yeah, he did. And I think that was just more because he was uncomfortable with the fact that, his feelings are for her, and there she would be here when you have Cecilia over here.
And then he had a kingdom to answer to too, because you were not to have the help there. So.
Yeah. Yes. So this is where the story gets a little bit deeper for the lady who is the head of the kitchen crew, because she loans her this beautiful red gown that was hers when she was younger. And
do you think she went with the butler to that dance?
I don't know. I think so, because didn't it say something about she danced with? I'd have to see it again. I'm not quite sure, but you hear the story about this handsome young man.
The two of them, just a short little clip, talked about it.
Yes.
And I think that part. Yeah. Okay. So she gives her this perfect red dress that so that lady's mom actually was the seamstress who made it for her. It was gorgeous.
Perfect. Yes. And she fit her perfectly. She looked absolutely beautiful, and she fit right in. And Cecilia saw her, and of course she was very territorial, and
I had to laugh because when she was introduced, and everybody's like, "Go, somebody from
New York."
New York.
Yes.
Like we didn't know. And then she, to herself, she said, "So much for staying in the background."
Yeah. Well, that's what I loved about what was his name? Fergus. Is that he's like, hold on. And he introduced her. He didn't have to do that, I don't think, because she was just to help. But he's like, you know what? She deserves it.
He liked
and
her.
It was awesome. Yeah, he did. And then you see the interaction between him and the head, the lady who's head of all the cooks and everything. He's like, is that your dress? And she's like, yes. And he made comment about remembering all those years back. And so you kind of like, okay, is that the guy who she was telling Allie's character about?
That's where I got it.
Amazing. Yes, because you find out that it was just timing for them. And like they both ended up, in their separate ways, ended up getting married and then widowed, and then now they think they're too old, to fall in love again. But here they are living in the same castle, and they're in the same place. And so they're just enjoying the fact that Allie gets to be at the party, and but there's trouble brewing. And it's not even like, we talked about the movie not being dark. It's not like dark trouble, but the prince is supposed to propose to the Cecilia as part of this arranged marriage. And when he goes to get the ring he finally just says, okay, I'm just gonna do it, the ring is gone, and it was his mother's ring, I believe. If I remember correctly.
Well, it's a royals ring. Yeah.
Yes,
the royal family, because it kept being passed down.
So this ring is missing, and you're not quite sure who took it. However,
I was sure.
Yeah, well, and I was like, okay, obviously, your first thought could have been Princess Theodora, but then I'm like, okay, did someone else take it to try to make Allie's character look bad, which is what they tried to do.
And that could have been too.
Yeah, because then Cecilia puts it in, King Max's mind. Well, she could have taken it. She's a commoner. She's not like us.
I didn't think she said it to the king.
I thought that's who she. I have to double check. I thought that had been said to him, because he's like, "There's no way she'd take that."
Well, he overheard her saying that to what's his?
Maybe the advisor.
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
That's who
maybe
she
that's what
was
it
saying
was.
it to,
Okay, yeah, and he's like,
which
"There's no
she knew
way."
he would take her side.
Oh, well, of course,
And the
that was
king
her
was
only
walking
friend.
by and he heard that and he turned around
Okay,
and said,
yeah, maybe that's what it was.
yeah.
So she leaves
But then the
because,
next scene, and this
and
is
then
one of my favorite parts.
yes, would you like to tell it?
Sure. So in the meantime, well, I think Allie did say I would never do something like that. And then
Yeah, because
she,
she was confronted by
yes.
Cecilia. Yeah.
And so she went upstairs and Theodora was in there crying. And she sat down and talked to her. And she, was crying, saying she was sorry, when she didn't want her dad to marry her and blah, 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 blah. So that went on. And so Max, then the king, walked in. And I think at that time, Allie had the ring in her hand and said she would take the blame for it. But right away, Theodora looked at her dad and said, I'm sorry. So she admitted to taking it. And of course, that could have been a scandal with the princess doing that. So Allie again told the king, I will, you can let me take the blame.
Yeah.
And that's when he so kindly said that he would just say that he left it on his desk.
Yes.
But the neatest part to me was then she had stood up so he could see her. Well, I think he said, I think it's time to go down to the ball.
Yes. Yeah. Him and the princess were expected. Yeah.
Yes. And you know what? It might be mixed up.
Well, Allie had made the decision to leave because she's like, I think I just need to leave.
She said, I think I should just go ahead and leave anyway. And Theodora ran over and hugged her and didn't want her to leave and cried and so on and so forth. And then he said, come on, we need to go. And then he looked at her and right after Theodora said, I will really miss you. And then he said, I will too.
Yes, that got me. I'm not usually super emotional when it comes to movies, but that little line there, it's like, he wanted to tell her to stay, but he couldn't because he's supposed to be marrying this Cecilia lady. But then it gets interesting.
Oh, wait a minute. May the part that, so throughout, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff said about his dad, maybe 3 times. I mean, yeah, the throne keeper, whatever his job was, would bring up what his duties were all the time.
Yeah, always throwing it in his face, like, well, your father would have been this.
But as far as actual talking about, so Max talking about his dad, I only remember about 3 times, and it wasn't really bad. It, you know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't abused or anything. I think his dad was just taking his position the way that the royal family's supposed to.
Yes, very seriously.
Right. But I don't think like he was punished and all that kind of stuff. He did what the royal family did. So yes, he went to boarding school. Yes, his dad wasn't around. They never did say anything about his mom. I don't remember.
No. And, and
like, so you wonder what happened to the queen. I mean, she must have passed, but they never brought it up.
Yeah, I don't ever remember hearing anything.
And nothing was said about his relationship with his mother. Because I did notice that. I kept looking for that. But the one thing that stuck in my mind that he felt bad about, and that came from his dad, was when he was going to take his daughter down to the ball. And he had told her how beautiful she looked. And he said, you look just like your mother.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm sorry, Daddy. And he said, why would you be sorry? And she said, because I know if that makes you think of her, you're sad. Yeah. And that broke my heart. And he said that that's not true. It doesn't make him sad. He actually likes to think of her. Yeah. And he thinks about her every day. And she said, but you never talk about her. And he said, because my dad taught me that you hold your feelings inside.
Mhm. Very proper, straightforward, show no emotions. Yeah.
And he said, and that ends here.
And that's when, that's when everything changes
Mhm.
in the movie. Yeah.
But that was another part. And that's the only time that I really remember him saying like something his dad taught him.
Right.
Right? And that wasn't something that he liked. The other parts was, I don't know, just when the throne guy would say, well, the king did this or that or whatever, and
Yeah.
he would
Yeah.
just go, well, so what? Yeah,
Yeah. And,
so he
he
didn't
takes
really,
that. Oh, go ahead.
there just really wasn't a whole lot of talk. I mean, you could tell that Max didn't agree with the way his dad was, but also knew that that was part of the royal thing, and he just wasn't into
Yes.
that. But he didn't really go into that he had an awful childhood, and
Right.
so
Just wanted more of a presence from his dad. I swear that wasn't mine this time.
you know what? Because my extra one that I only use for stuff
Mhm.
was
Still
not,
on.
it has to be shut off there. Sorry about that.
There you go.
Sorry,
All good.
everybody.
But no, I like how King Max then takes that stuff that he wanted from his childhood, and then all of a sudden was like, he said that ends here. This is how it's going to be, and he calls off that arranged marriage. He makes this big announcement. And I'm like, you're expecting an engagement, and it's like that's not going to happen. And then I feel like the ending just kind of like is snowballs from there. So
But
she's
you know
not
what
going to
else I
boarding
liked
school.
about when he said that was he didn't apologize.
Nope. He's like, this is just how it's going to be.
And he wasn't embarrassed by it. It was just, see, he was being real too, which is why I thought the
Yeah.
two of them would make such a good couple. But so go ahead, so you can do the ending part.
Yeah. Well, I'll do up until then. I'll let you finish it off. But just so you find out there's no more arranged marriage and no boarding school, and she's going to stay home with him. And at this point, Allie has already left, and she's kind of roaming around town. I think she ends up at what was it, like their city hall type area.
Mhm.
And she's just kind of wandering around, like I don't even know if she really knows what she's thinking, but she's just kind of like taking everything in from that night. And you see Prince Max right up on this horse looking for her, and just kind of like taking her by surprise, like, oh hey, yeah, I'm not getting married. And
She jumps on his horse.
and she jumps on his horse and he rides her back. So it's like you get your fairy tale ending, like it wasn't a white horse, this is like black horse.
Thing.
Yeah.
Really
Well, that was and that was their thing where they bonded, where they had that moment where like, okay, something's going on here. It was during horseback riding, and
well, I think
he was able to open
I
up.
think the very first part where he realized something was going on was when he walked in and she was talking to his horse. The very beginning.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, she was talking to him, and he's like, "Are you talking to my horse?"
Yeah, and then
like, yeah,
said,
yeah.
"Oh my!" No, she said, "Oh my!" Not supposed to.
Yeah.
Backed up,
Well,
and he said, "I do it," and then he went up.
Yeah.
And then when she left again, she was awkward.
Mm-hmm.
When she, am I supposed? I'm not going to curtsy again because I might won't do it right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, she spent all day just getting told no, no, no. And then she's talking to this poor horse, and she's like, oh, but no, it literally.
And then he said to the horse, "So you like her, don't you?"
Yeah.
And he said, "I think I do too."
Yeah. And so it basically ends with him bringing her back to the castle, and you get the whole live happily ever after. Well, that's what I'm assuming, because they don't go any farther than that. In most cases, some of these movies will end with in marriage. And
well,
really,
when
you
they
just see
pulled
them
up
coming
to the
back together.
castle, though, when they pulled up to the castle and he brought her back, because the butler's one that said, "You better go get her."
Yeah.
But so when he brought her back, his daughter did not know, Theodora did not know that he was going to get her.
Mhm.
So she ran out with the butler, and she said, you brought her back.
Yeah.
And then it was to stay,
Mhm.
and they all hugged, and then he kissed her. And
Yes.
that's when Theodora looked up and she knew that that's who he was going to marry.
Yeah. So
And
it's like you
that's,
don't actually see it, but they give you that ending where you're like, oh yeah, they get their happily ever after.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. It
So
was a great movie.
very good movie. I think it was a very feel-good movie. Like I said, I don't really think there was any dark spots. They,
No.
very, very, very little negativity. If anything, was just like those three little parts about, what he was
Yeah.
supposed to do, whatever, which wasn't even bad. I mean, I
Right.
think everybody now, since our one of our princes, Prince, is it Henry?
Oh, Harry.
Harry,
Prince Harry.
that
Yeah.
is now in the United States and no longer part of the royal family.
Yeah.
I think everybody kind of knows now for
Mhm.
sure, if they didn't before, how the royal family is supposed to act and what happens when you don't.
Right. Yeah. That's like one life I would not want. Just, I don't ever like feeling like I can't be myself. And that would be a very tough position to be in, or a very tough role to play.
Yeah, so I have to say, I mean, I always knew there was royal families, Queen Elizabeth, whatever, you learn through history. But it wasn't until so King Henry, well, Princess Di a little bit. I was pretty young. Or I think I had my youngest when she passed.
Yeah, I was a freshman in high school because I remember we had to do like current events. So that would have been like 98. Because I remember we had to do current events and like in
Right.
social studies that next day, and that was everyone's current
Was
event.
she in a car accident? I can't remember now.
Yes, yeah, because the paparazzi chased her through that tunnel and they
Yeah.
wrecked in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but she was quite scandalous for the royal family because she was kind of one of those too that didn't want to go by all their royal
Yeah.
stuff. But
Well, and she was a commoner as well.
yes,
Yeah. So as
and
was Meghan Markle and
that began that in the England royalty. Henry and let's see, so Charles was her husband, correct?
yes.
And then there was Henry and Harry, correct?
No,
Those are two sons.
William.
William.
Yes.
William. Where am I getting Henry? Was that a brother? Who's the brother?
No. Well, Harry is the brother. William is the oldest. Harry is the
Okay, now
youngest.
who was Princess Di married to?
Charles.
So they're two
That's
boys.
Queen's son. Yes, they're two boys together.
What are their two boys' names?
The two boys are you're talking Princess Diana's boys?
Yeah.
William and Harry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and then they've got children of their
who was
own.
Charles' brother?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't
Well,
really
because
think
he's
about
had a
that.
lot to do with what's going on.
Oh yeah. See, I'm not sure.
Okay. So Harry is the one that married Meghan,
Yes.
and they are now in California living.
Yeah, in the United States, just doing their own thing. Yeah.
And they got kicked out of the royal family.
Mhm.
And from what I understand, the Queen actually had been still continued monetarily wise supporting him behind the royalties back.
I mean, family, I would think, have to make a difference at some point.
Well, but the Queen doing that behind, because okay, the Queen is just like our president role.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
She's the head honcho.
That's kind of wrong. And that's what I'm trying to say is, even though we have a president that's supposed to be over the United States, he doesn't have a single say. The Senate decides with him and can go against anything that he says. So
yes,
when people are blaming the president for, whatever president, I'm not talking about one in particular, but just somebody always, every time we have a president, they blame the president for everything that's happening. And
Yes.
what I'm trying to say is that he doesn't make those decisions on his own. He might put them on the table, but they can get vetoes, overturned, everything. So
Yeah.
he's not totally responsible for everything. Okay.
Yeah. He's not like the almighty power. He's,
And the
yeah.
same way with the queen. Okay. So that position runs the same way in the royal family. So she's just like the president over England, but she has the whole royal family to answer to, and they have a board.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Okay. Yeah. And I did not until I watched the documentary of her son
Okay.
and Meghan. And Meghan, well, actually, Meghan started it with doing an interview for Netflix. And in that interview, that's when I watched that. I know a lot of people weren't going to watch it because they thought it'd be boring. But when I watched that, I learned what I never knew really went on in a royal family. I mean, I knew the curtsying and the balls, all the stuff that was supposed to be glamorous, but I didn't know that, like, the prince and the princesses, like, they didn't actually live in the castles. They had their own little places on the grounds, but not actually in the castle.
Okay.
I didn't know that they could not have any kind of life outside the castle. They couldn't have friends outside the castle. Meghan was not allowed to go anywhere or talk to anybody.
That's crazy.
So yeah, like, they had no control over their lives whatsoever.
See, didn't I read that they have to, like, wear stockings at all times, like if they wear dresses, and they have to be like so long, and they have to, like, I think there's like really strict rules that come with everything.
A very, very tough position. And even like when she was pregnant, she had nobody to talk to. Her husband, so we decide it was Harry?
Yeah, Harry. Yeah.
So Henry and his brother William. I thought that was their dad.
Oh yeah, no, Charles is their dad.
So William
and Harry. Yeah.
So William, like, totally took the royal side and turned against his brother.
Yeah.
His dad quit talking to him altogether until he was in the United States. And once in a while, he would, like, accept a call from him, because he wouldn't accept any calls from him. Then once in a while he did. And they started getting closer. And like I said, the queen behind the royal's back was sending him money.
Gotcha.
But once Meghan had spilled her guts, I cried through it.
Oh, what? See, I haven't seen it, but now I think I'm going to watch it.
I cried through it because, well, first of all, I didn't know all that stuff was happening, but I thought, how horrible of a life. I mean, all these years I thought, oh, what wouldn't that be wonderful to, like, be in a royal family?
Yeah.
Nice dresses and have all the most beautiful things and all that. And you hear Meghan's side and how she had to live. And I thought, oh, that poor girl. But she tells it all, and she knows that she's going to be in trouble and that they're going to be in trouble. But the cool thing is, so Henry is like his mom. And they bring up his mom, but they bring up what she had to live like and why her depressions and all that.
Yeah, see, I knew that she had suffered from depression, but if I remember correctly,
because she had to live that life.
Yeah, and I think when I was younger, I think I remember hearing. I feel like Harry has always kind of been like the black sheep. Like I think I remember him like being out the partier. I think I remember him getting in trouble a decent amount. Like I think I'm like here and there. I remember hearing stories. Yeah, so you can tell that the boys are definitely different. So I'm not surprised that he, took himself out of the royal family equation, because he just seemed like he was the more laid back,
First of
down to
all,
earth
he
one.
really, I'm sure that's part of his being defiant, but he really loves Megan.
Yeah.
And it really, really upset him when she wanted a doctor with her being pregnant, and they would not allow her a doctor. And he was out doing his duties and couldn't be with her, and he was like on the phone with her, and he knew that she was extremely depressed, and he asked the royal family to get her somebody, and they wouldn't do it.
That is awful.
And you'll see, and you'll hear all that if you watch the documentary. That
Yeah, I'm gonna try to catch it this weekend.
He was really, really in love with her. It wasn't just being defiant and leaving the royal family. He was really, really in love with Megan, and they have another child now.
Oh, so is that 3 now or 2? I don't even know.
I think just 2.
Archie. Maybe it's the older ones, William and Kate, that have 3.
I don't even pay any attention to them. That just upset me so much. But let me search this, and so we don't get in trouble here.
Right. Because I know their first one is Archie. Because I just thought that was the cutest little name for Harry.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute.
Yeah. See, I haven't seen.
I had a boy and they had a girl.
Oh, they may have. I mean,
I'm gonna look.
Yeah, I don't normally keep up on it, but when there's baby news, I like to at least see them walk out like they always have and get a glimpse of the baby, because I love babies.
Oh, okay, never mind.
What's up?
I forgot.
You can be there.
We're recording. It's okay.
We've done that a couple times, and I almost feel like we have to explain why we get really nervous when we think about recording.
Well, my thing is the time.
Yeah, I hear you. Like that first time we tried to do that very first one, and we forgot to hit record.
Right. That was all on me.
Oh, we eventually got it figured out, though.
Okay. Do. Yeah, but like, I didn't know the first time, like, to hit record. I thought the video was part of recording.
Oh, right.
If you don't hit video, I guess you don't see each other.
Right.
Is all.
Yeah.
You still get an audio.
Yeah, we figured that out.
How many children do I even call him a prince anymore?
I would just you could probably do Meghan and Harry, and they'll bring it right up.
I bet.
Because I think they forfeited all of their titles too, so they may not even include that. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have a choice. Their rights were taken away.
That's just crazy. Like you live one life for so long, at least for Harry, then like it just did not be your life anymore. That had to be quite the adjustment. Or relief. I don't know.
Gee, you know what? You're usually right about everything. Okay, so they are considered the Duke and the Duchess of Sussex.
Oh, okay. So they
still
have some sort of title.
Yeah, so that must, I wonder where, I'd like to know where that came from.
Yeah, because but I know he's like no longer a prince or whatever.
Okay, wait. This does not make sense yet.
I wonder why they had a forfeit like other names,
No,
but they still gave him like the.
Once Prince Charles ascends the throne, Harry and Meghan's 2 children will become grandchildren of the reigning monarch.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's still a bloodline there, so yeah.
Well, no, it has to be a decision because their father was no longer part of his royalty.
Right. I don't know. I'm just kind of surprised that bloodline.
So he got taken down from being a prince of
right.
England.
Because you got to wonder if, like, say one of those boys decides, hey, or whether his son decides, hey, I want to be part of this royal lifestyle. You got to wonder if that's something that, if that just automatically would go to him, or if he would have to, get permission or whatever to like rejoin the royal family. It'd be interesting to see how that would work out.
Okay, so as of right now, they have 2 children, but the second one's a girl.
Okay.
But she's pregnant again.
Oh, is she? Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's where I was getting the third, but
it says June 6th. June 6th, it says, oh, wait, I'm sorry. Don't expect a baby, number 3.
Oh.
Harry and Meghan have both spoken about only wanting 2 kids. The couple has spoken multiple times. So 2.
Well, there you go. Boy and a girl.
That works. I'm trying to remember the girl's name though. So I'm trying to find that.
That poor girl. She came in after her brother, and then he was like, headline news there for a while. And
okay, so this is pretty, if I could pull it up. So let's see if their daughter will have a royal title, because it says that after turbulent year, the news that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have welcomed a second child offered some welcome relief for fans of the couple. On Sunday, June 6th, the Sussexes announced that their daughter, Lilibet, had been born. So it's Lilibet.
Oh, the cute little names.
But what title, if any, will their second child have?
They're like way down the line, I know.
So so they're dukes now, dukes and duchess. But as a child of the Duke of Sussex, the new baby would normally take the title of a lord or a lady. However, revelations from the couple during their interview will be Oprah Winfrey. That's who the interview's with.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you what, I hope Oprah sees this. I loved the things that Oprah did for people and everything. Mm-hmm. But in this documentary, she asked questions that she knew Meghan could get in a lot of trouble for. And Meghan would tell her that, and she would push it and push it and push it.
Did Meghan answer the questions eventually?
No. And she in the first part of the interview, it was just Meghan and Oprah, and then he came in.
Okay.
And he was so supportive, but he actually told a little bit more than Meghan did. And she would like sometimes go to stop him. Because
that just shows the fear, I would think, of,
So, controversially, Meghan claimed that rather than choosing to forego a title for their first child, Archie, as was wildly reported, the couple were actually told by the firm that Archie would not receive a title.
Wow.
They were saying they didn't want him to be a prince or a princess, which would be different from protocol, and that he wasn't going to receive any kind of security. And that was one of their biggest fears, and why they came to the United States was so they would get security, because they had no security.
It's just insane. So like, it just kind of leaves them out there to fend for themselves. And
that's exactly what they did. That was their punishment. Okay, so once Prince Charles ascends the throne, Harry and Meghan's 2 children will become grandchildren of the reigning monarch and become eligible for HRH titles. So Archie would become His Royal Highness Prince Archie. This is because male line grandchildren of a monarch are currently entitled to be His or Her Royal Highness due to a letters patent by King George. So it is possible that Prince Charles may issue a new letters patent, which would limit the HRH title to heir to the throne and their immediate family to reflect that the duties of the royal family have evolved. I can see him like refusing to allow them to be part of it.
Probably. I just, because it's been this way for so long, and the fact that they're not even part of the family anymore. Oh yeah, they're probably like, yeah, no.
So he dropped his HRH title and stepped away from royal duties.
I don't know. I guess they can take away the titles and whatnot, but there's still that bloodline. It's like, title okay.
So now Harry and Meghan's new child is the Duke of York, who was born second in line in 1960, and he'll move down to 9th place.
Crazy.
It's so complicated to me, but like I said, growing up, everything to me seemed like it was just such a cool thing. And
oh yeah, tiaras and dresses and
yeah,
balls. Yeah, but there's that very dark side to it. So that's why I'm glad that this movie didn't, because they could have gone dark.
They could have.
And they did it. Some of the other because I think it's a Hallmark movie, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it a Netflix
No,
movie?
it's
Okay, so a lot of these.
I think the Hallmark really tries to make everything upbeat, all their movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where when you go to Netflix, and I love Netflix, but when you go to Netflix, they're not concerned about that because they're not known for that.
Yeah, they deal with a little bit darker stuff. So yeah, I think it's kind of a refreshing movie when it comes to seeing, a royal family.
That's why I get so disappointed on December 26th when there's no more Hallmark Christmas movies.
To DVR all that stuff. Or do what I do and buy the DVDs.
Yeah, which you still owe me some. Every time you say you're going to bring me some, you don't.
When I say I'm coming down to the shop,
I should say bring me some DVDs.
You should, because I will literally, they've been on my table.
Okay.
And I even watched Clark Griswold the other day, and I'm like, I need to get this over to Christy. You think I remember? Should have brought it today.
I wouldn't even remember the name of that. So
yeah, we'll just call it Clark. Everyone knows Clark.
Except me. Except
well, you recognize Clark Griswold, you just didn't recognize the actual name of the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we should tell everybody how much we've enjoyed this. And also, I'd like to remind everybody to continue to send in questions. I did post again today. I can't remember if it was on Instagram or Facebook, but popular Christmas movies, and then said, which one would you like us to watch and review?
Yes, we'll take suggestions.
So we will take suggestions. Otherwise, we're going to keep picking, and it's going to be Melinda's turn next.
Yes.
And it's been a really busy time for both of us the last couple of weeks. Next week's probably going to be busier for Melinda, but we're still going to try to get everything in. So this week we need to do 2 more still.
We got this.
So you have the next movie. You don't have to tell anybody right now because I like it to be a surprise.
Yes, I will have it be a surprise.
Just make sure that you tell me so I can watch it.
I will do that. And I had a hard time finding this on streaming services the last couple of years, which is why I bought it on DVD. So I will bring
I can't watch it.
Well, no, I haven't looked this year. I stopped looking since I have it on DVD, but I'll look to make sure. And then if not, I will definitely get you that DVD. I'll bring it tomorrow. But yeah, my husband, he tried to get me to watch this for years. And I was just like, nah. And now I love it. So I really don't have to check out. I'm not, I promise that's all I'm going to say. I mean, only my husband will know what that is, but I'm hoping, but yeah, at least like Christy said, if you guys have anything you want us to check out.
And again, if this is your first time watching this from now, I think we decided until like December 22nd or December 23rd, we will be trying to review at least 2 Christmas movies a week. That's not what we normally do, but these movies that we do review always have some kind of struggle. So in ending this, What do you think was the biggest struggle in The Crown for Christmas?
I think there was a lot of the characters had each of their individual struggles, but I think the main struggle
True.
was um the the fear of doing what you think you should be doing as opposed to what's right. You saw King Max struggle with that. He's got his advisor over here saying, well, your dad was a great king and he did this and he did this, but he also has the the kid inside of him who didn't have his dad around as often, who didn't do the snowball fights with him, who didn't take him places. And he's got his daughter who, no longer has her mother. He's widowed. So he's struggling with trying to find that balance between being a good king to his country and also being a good father. And I think that struggle there, you can see that. But then of course, when you bring in Allie's character, she makes him realize that you can do both. But it's more fun to, to do more of the non-traditional stuff. But I just think that struggle for him was, I think, one of the bigger things that we got to see.
But you named more than one.
That's true. Maybe just the struggle of trying to find that balance between being king and being a father.
I am going to look up and see if they will actually tell.
Yeah. Because like we mentioned, everybody, there's all these individual struggles. From Allie to the siblings to even poor Fergus had his with his lady from before.
If I do an overall, what the biggest struggle was, not wanting to live the royal life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Period. To me, that was the biggest, and I think he had that from the time he was a child. So
yeah, because I think he just saw all the stuff that his dad was doing, and here this poor kid was being sent off to boarding school, and everybody else was taking care of him as opposed to his father. Yeah, like you mentioned, we don't even hear about his mom. So did he lose his mom at a young age? Was he an adult? You don't get much background on it. So
I'm reading the reviews.
ooh, what did they say?
Let's see. This was, gosh, they were watching it awful early. This was in May.
Well,
watched Crown for Christmas with not the highest of expectations, fairly mixed actually, while loving Christmas for as long as can be remembered and liking particularly Rupert Penry-Jones and other things. Hallmark has been very variable, veering towards average or less more than once when it comes to films of their mixing Christmas and royalty. The title sounded sweet, but the concept sounded so been there, done that, and flimsy. Well, but he continued with Crown for Christmas turned out to be much better than expected.
Yeah.
Being well above average and even really quite good.
My daughter loves the movie. She's
This
13.
is the same person, which is not what the plot how do you say that? Synopsis indicated that it would be if it was executed wrongly. It may not be flawless or a masterpiece, but it is for me one of the best Hallmark Christmas films out there.
There you go.
Sure, it is thin in story, occasionally silly, and can be very predictable. A lot of situations being quite overfamiliar and lacking freshness. Did have reservations here and there with Danica. Mostly she is appealing, but she also overdoes it for my liking at times. What the part about being scared of doing the wrong thing in the royal family? That's the only thing I could think of that she overdoes it.
Yeah, maybe.
Which I would think I would feel that way if I was put in that situation.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I think she played the part well, but anyway.
Yeah.
The next one is Ellie Evans raised her siblings after the death of their parents. She is unfairly fired as a hotel maid. Despite that, she turns in a lost expensive watch belonging to King Maximilian. His butler Fergus notices her admirability, her mortality, and after further checks, he hires her to be the governess. Wait, this is relatively fair Hallmark movie. I love Danica and she exudes goodness. The king is a bit of a dud, but he's supposed to be slightly stiff. The girl is good. Quite frankly, the relationship between Allie and the girl is more important than any standardized king and the calmer romance.
Well,
So,
we were talking about how well I think the king or that the daughter was cast for him. Because I had
yeah,
to look them up because I thought they were related because I think they look alike. Like they did well with that. But I think all their actors together, especially those three, I think they did well together.
huh. I do too. This next one kind of surprised me. Hallmark mixes The Sound of Music, Made in Manhattan, and The King and I to come up with this better than average film. You think
Okay, I can see Maid in Manhattan. Yeah. I can see that movie being the same type of
No, but The Sound of
plot.
Music?
I've never seen The Sound of Music.
You have.
I haven't. I know.
Okay, that's not a Christmas one, but we will talk about that sometime. That is my all-time favorite.
Oh, is it? Now I know Julie Andrews is in it. But that's all like, and I think the guy who played the dad didn't he just passed recently, but I cannot think of his name.
Oh,
But
well,
I've never
I mean,
seen it.
besides Julie Andrews, I wouldn't remember any of the names, but I could sing every single song in it and I can tell you the whole movie.
Oh yeah, no,
But could I
I'll
tell
have to
you
watch
the
it.
actors' names? No. Okay, so if you remember the difference with me, and I told you this a long time ago, that I like musicals.
Mhm.
I love musicals. Like my favorite is Glee. That
I've never
show,
seen that.
the show Glee. Oh my
I've
God.
never seen it. Like my musicals, like I've seen Hairspray. My daughter is now obsessed with Hamilton, so I've been watching
What
that
about
with her.
Grease?
Oh yeah, Grease. I love Grease. I
Um,
love Grease too, as well. I
okay,
don't care what anybody
that's
says.
good. Let's see, what's the one that has oh my gosh. He calls her baby, they dance. He's a dance teacher. He's considered low life, and her family's rich, and
I don't know.
her family calls her baby. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of the name of it? I
Oh,
just
Dirty
watched
Dancing.
Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
That's kind of a musical to me too, even though they don't sing, but there's a lot of music in it and
Yeah.
dancing.
That's a great movie.
Those are the kind of movies that I really get into. Okay, here's another view. Yes to Crown for Christmas. After I watched the movie, I discovered the actress played Winnie the Wonder Years.
Yeah, she's Winnie.
She is.
That's how I know her.
Yeah. She plays at 31 old in this film. She didn't look 31 in the film, I didn't think.
No.
And then the next one said, love this movie, interesting story and cast. Another one says, one of the best royal romance movies I've seen.
Nice.
Oh, warning, spoiler. Allie lives in New York with her brother and sister. Wait a minute. Oh, so, geez, I could have just read this and did
Got the whole movie.
Yeah, it's got the whole movie. But the favorite part was how Allie and Max meet cute at the beginning, made it way to the ending too.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was saying. Like you could tell right away when they accidentally met, which they didn't exchange names, that they had a chemistry.
Little something, yep.
There was a little something there. But I still didn't find the biggest struggle. So they're just going to have to, we all have different opinions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just think that it's kind of based on the whole struggle of being part of a royal family again.
Oh yeah.
And all those other things, well, losing his wife wouldn't be part of the royal thing, but the way that he handled his grieving was part of the royal thing of losing his wife. So it still goes back to the royal thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the way he was raising his daughter, even though he wanted to be differently, still was the royal thing.
Right.
So that's just my opinion. I think that was the biggest struggle, was that he didn't want to be part of the royal family. He wanted just to be a normal me and you,
Yeah.
if there's such a thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, my normal and your normal, but I mean, I think we're pretty awesome. So,
We're pretty
I mean,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, why not want to be normal?
Again, whatever that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Whatever
so
normal.
good night, everybody. Yeah, we are recording at night because we're both
Yeah.
very busy people. And this
Yeah.
is when we have that little bit of quiet time. So again, send your questions in. Melinda, go ahead and tell them again, for the new people that are watching, where they can reach out to you if they want to ask you for a movie to watch.
Yeah, I am on Instagram. You can find me at Mama Weigel. And it's
Yeah.
Weigle because it's impossible to spell. It took me a year to get it right after I got married. I felt awful. It was horrible to I can't spell her last name right, but yeah, and that's where you can get a hold of me easier because I mean I'm on Facebook every now and then, but
Yeah, we
not
don't
as
need
much.
that. That's more personal
Yeah.
stuff. And also, you guys, I'm gonna see if you guys can't vote her in to be get paid for being a movie reviewer, because she's so good at all the actors' names and the producers and their background. Even though we didn't talk a lot about that tonight, which is fine, because we did talk about the movie, and I think it was my turn, so I did more than she did. But she knew more than I did as far as names goes. Well, actually, I helped out tonight, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Usually she's the bigger one though. Anyway, you can reach me on Instagram at, if you type in my name, Christy Collier, or you can put struggle winner, either way. And you can find me there and send me a message and tell me. And also you can watch us on Spotify and Google Podcast and Apple Podcast. And there's like about 6 other platforms. So, okay. So we'll be excited to hear some comments and hear what kind of movies you'd like us to watch.
Yes.
Right, everybody.
All right. Until next time. See ya.